I want to introduce again, bring back Dr. Rebecca Hall Gruyter to the stage. She's going to be bringing you tools in the next section on releasing the inspiration that is within each and every one of you so that you can thrive. She is the network director for Voice America's Women's Channel in both radio and TV. She's also the network CEO and owner of RHG TV Network, offering transformational programming to a global market. She is an in-demand speaker, visibility expert, and expert money coach, and a frequent guest expert on success panels, telesummits, TV, and radio shows. Rebecca is going to help you to find that inspiration inside of you so that you can bring it out and thrive and share that with the world. So please, again, help me welcome Rebecca to the stage. Yay!
Yay! Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
So, I'm going to talk with you about thriving. And we're going to look at how do we thrive no matter what. When those challenges come, what keeps us going? How do we tap into our bigger vision and keep moving forward and bring that into reality in 2018? That someday, we can bring it in today. We can start on that today. We can bring that forward. Some days will always stay someday unless we bring it into the now. And part of thriving is being willing to bring it forward. So what are those things when we think back on January? Let's just take a moment. January, let's go back in time. Zoop. What are some of those things that when you were making that list, that I want to bring this forward in 2018, what were some of those things? I want you to take a moment and just write them down. Perhaps something you wanted to launch, a way you wanted to be. Something you want to claim, create, build, come from an idea to reality. Who wants to share? Just something you want to claim. So we come to today. Where we are in 2018, we can't go back in time, but we absolutely can go forward. What is something we want to stand today, part of our thriving, and bring forward? Who would like to share? Yes. If I can get a mic runner. Well, thank you, Kimmy.
I like to claim my book.
Beautiful.
Solo book.
So bringing that forward.
Yes, bringing that forward.
Perfect. Beautiful. Anyone else? Thank you. Yes.
I'd like to bring forward more healing in my relationships and more ability to give love. And I want to thank Michelle Pedicolis and Kimmy Avery and Rebecca because you're helping me put my life back together after my 5 times here. Things have changed dramatically. I'm back in touch with my daughter after 29 months of estrangement. And you guys helped me do it.
Congratulations. Thank you. I'm so glad. And celebration is important because we're a community and we're on this journey together, and celebrating is key. So thank you for claiming that and sharing that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Anyone? Yes.
Yeah, you said that, and I was like, everything I have, I don't want. Then I said, no. I'm planning to finish my second book at the end of 2018.
Great.
But now, as you said, no, I wanted to bring it closer.
Nice.
And my book will be how to become lucky by default, because luckiness has a structure and anybody can learn that.
Beautiful. I feel that coming forward sooner. Good. We claim that with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Would
Very
you
cool.
please claim with me?
We claim it with you. Absolutely. Yes. Good. Anyone else? Yes.
I claim my new home that I want to buy, one in which my practice can thrive and groups, there's plenty of groups, room for groups for women. And
Beautiful.
It's all fabulous.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We support you in that and claim that with you. Beautiful. One more. Is there anyone? Yes, Danielle.
So what I want to claim is my new life. Spirit is inviting me to move back to Europe in a new country.
Yes.
And this is a huge transformation for me, but I have to trust like I always did in my life. Thank you.
Beautiful. So we claim that for you and that trust, kind of just pulling that all in. Beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Let's breathe that in. Wonderful. And I love how some of this claiming, we're bringing it forward a little bit sooner. We're standing in what we're bringing forward, because I have found a key to manifestation is that we want to claim where we're going. We want to know where we're going, what it is that we're wanting to manifest, that we're wanting to bring in. And then, by golly, we got to take some steps to get there, to bring it here, to bring it forward. And we're going to talk about some of that today. And I want to give you a bit of a roadmap to help you do that, so that you can really bring forward those things that you want in your life, that are birthing within you. The seeds, we're actually going to plant them and help them grow. And I wanted to share just a little bit of my journey, because thriving and visibility and all these types of things were not something I readily jumped into. And yet I'm so passionate about them. You'll hear that throughout today. And I want to share a little bit of my story and some of the reasons why, because I think all of us can explore this a little bit. Wherever we are with our visibility, wherever we are, whether it's on stage or how we're reaching out and connecting with someone in the grocery line, we all have an opportunity to show up and connect heart to heart, life to life. And I think we forget that we have that power sometimes. And just like the example that I had with the flower pens earlier that we were holding up, when we shy back, when we step back, we're still occupying our space. But now the world is missing out on our gifts. They're missing out on what we can bring to the world. So I'm going to ask you a question around this. How many of you have within you a knowing, a calling to make a difference in a positive way? For you're passing through this life, you're wanting to make a positive difference for others. Yeah. How many of you believe and know everyone you run across knows exactly how you can help them? When they have that need, you're the one they know to call. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. So what I find is the number of hands are much smaller generally with that second question than the first. And yet we have this desire to make a difference. And the way to get the answer on the same level is us. No one can do it for us. We keep waiting to be discovered, and yet we continue to be this best kept secret. So the way to help people see you is to shine. Because if they cannot see you, if they cannot hear you, if they don't know who you are and what you do in the world, you cannot help them. I was speaking down at an event in Southern California last year, and I had an opportunity of the name tags, right? You get the name tags. and it was in a hotel, similar to this, on the elevator, and I'm wearing my name tag, and it says speaker. And strangers are getting on that are not part of our event, are getting on the elevator, and they're going, oh, you look like a speaker. I forgot I had my name tag on. I was like, oh, I'm echoing out who I am and what I stand for. Then I realized I had my name tag, but I thought, well, it's an icebreaker. And I got to share with them what I stood for, or what we're talking about, or what the event is, or how we could live our life on purpose. And then I made sure I was wearing that name badge every time I got on that elevator. I was sad to give it away at the end of the event. It was a multi-day event. And I think about how often are we wearing who we are, what we stand for, what we claim on the outside, and letting people know, and like being excited to talk about it, just waiting for them to start the conversation, or we'll start it kind of leading in. I think we have a real opportunity to do that. What if we could all wear little buttons saying, I'm Rebecca and I stand for this, or I'm this, and we claim it and we start having conversations around it. I'm going to invite you to find ways in your life to start letting people know who you are and what you stand for and what matters to you. And that you echo that out. You share it out. It will lift people's spirits. It will inspire them. I was having lunch with a dear friend of mine. We hadn't seen each other for a couple years, and we met probably 15, 16 years ago. And back at that time, I was a financial advisor on BART. So it was a little different world. And she said, yeah, I used to watch BART, and you just always looked so happy. What's the deal? That's how we met. So we have this opportunity to shine even when we're sitting there and build from that. And she and I had this beautiful lunch. We were just catching up on things. And she made a comment to me that really struck with me. And she said, Rebecca, yeah, that's all well and good to shine. You have all these platforms. You're on all these stages. You're in all these books. And I said, but that's not what it's about. It's still heart by heart, life by life, that we get to make a difference. We can give the gift of a smile. We can compliment someone on something that they do. When we're in that grocery line and everything's going on with technology and it's getting longer and longer, and people are choosing what they echo out: frustration, anger, impatience. Maybe we could echo out love, support, encouragement. Oh, here's an opportunity to have a conversation on a deeper level. Like, we can choose what we're echoing out. It's not just those moments that you're on stage that we can choose to shine, and we can choose to thrive, because thrive is also a way of being. So I'm going to run through just a little bit of my story like I promised. And I came from, I'm just, picking the pieces that I feel will serve. So the environment that I grew up in my younger years, 5 to about 12 and a half, was very unsafe. I experienced all types of abuse that a little girl should never know about, much less experience. And in that, I learned that I didn't matter, that I'm not okay, that there's something desperately wrong with me that's causing this. It must be my fault. Not lovable. And I'm absolutely not safe to be seen or heard. And I internalized that on a cellular level. Every cell in my body internalized that and believed that. And I was eventually rescued by my dad. And he took me in, and I got to go on this healing journey with he and my stepmom, who you met earlier. She's the mom of my heart. And I got to bloom and grow, and I discovered those were actually lies, not truth. I did matter. I was lovable. I had great worth. I came at a great cost and was valued. And it became safe to be seen and heard. But how many of us know things intellectually? I think we know lots of stuff. We have all kinds of certifications and degrees and things that we know up here. But it's different to know it on a cellular level. So that part of the journey that was hardest for me was that being willing to be seen and heard. I even figured out how to hide in the public eye. Like if you put on a certain uniform, a certain role, share all your credentials and your information, you can hide behind all of that stuff and not let them into your heart, not let them into deeply into who you are. So I learned how to do that for a lot of years, kind of hide behind all that stuff in the public eye. And I had a dream, a seed. We were talking about seeds earlier today. I had this dream planted in my heart and my spirit. I was about 19 years old, 20 years old. I'd gone to a Women's of Faith conference. It was the first time I'd ever been to something like that, where there are thousands, not hundreds, thousands of women, a little tiny like screen, stage, the big jumbotron, what I'm talking about. And I had never seen motivational speakers. Women of all different shapes and sizes were taking the stage. They were sharing their stories, and hearts were transforming. I could feel it inside. I could see it around me. And it planted this thought, what if my story could be used for good? What if what had happened to me, I saw the power of generations of hurt and kind of the destruction that can happen in that and echo out the power of that. What if I could do the opposite for good? That became exciting to me. I rushed home. Mom, I know what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a motivational speaker. And she goes, honey, that's wonderful. She puts her arm around me. Sometimes it's good to be grounded a little bit, at conference high and all. And she goes, that's beautiful, that's wonderful, but you do recognize that means you actually have to get up on a stage and speak. I thought, I hadn't connected those dots. I wanted the transformation, but not like that vulnerability. So I gave up the dream. Shrunk back. I could never do that, because at that point in my life, I could barely stand up and say my name in front of 2 or more people. My knees would shake. I would lose all of my thoughts. My ears would ring. I went right to that purple I talked about. No, red, purple. Eyes would water. I'd be lucky if I could get my name out. Seemed impossible. But when a seed is planted, when you're being called forth, when there is a dream, sometimes it just needs to grow a little bit more. We need to go a little bit further on the journey. So fast forward, I'm now successful financial advisor, my own business and practice, kind of hitting all those things that I had wanted to achieve, and I could see my path laid before me, and I was comfortable. Anyone heard, ever said that word? I'm comfortable. And I could see all that was coming. And then I felt that seed start to speak to me. Rebecca. I felt like God was talking to me again. Rebecca, it's time for you to share your story. And I went, no. That's not what financial advisors do. We don't talk about that stuff. And by the way, I am doing that speaking thing, traveling around the country, speaking in corporations and individuals. I'm doing all of that. And by the way, I'm not seeing hearts transform. So I had a little bit of an attitude there. And I said, okay, God, I know I'm doing this. I'm stepping forward, but I'm not seeing that happen. And then what came back to me? You're hiding. I said, no, I'm not. I'm out there speaking all the time. People know me. They know my name. And he said, no, they know you're a financial advisor. They know you care about finances, but they do not know your heart. You're still hiding behind these layers, these masks. And until you strip those away, there's a disconnect between you. You have a barrier between you and those you're called to connect with. I wrestled 9 months. Shouldn't have to. Others are more qualified. I'm comfortable. I can make a list of everyone else who would be better at doing that than me, kind of thing. I had this whole list, 9 months of this wrestling. And finally I said, okay, God, I will do this mean, hard, horrible thing you're asking me to do, like tell my story and speak in that way. If I never have to be on television, no radio, no books. I don't ever want to be recorded in any fashion, no pictures. I'll use a microphone because my voice isn't super loud. I can give on that. And no more than 50 people at a time. Let's go change, no radio, that was underlined. Let's go change the world. Silence. And then it came back to me. Rebecca, I think you misunderstood. This is a yes or no. Will you go where I call you to go, share what I call you to share, or not? It is your choice. But then, which I didn't think was truly fair, he was playing these tapes through my mind of my healing journey. And what I used to tell him is, okay, I will do this mean, hard, horrible thing you're asking me to do. Take this stand, share this truth, come forward in this way. If it can make a difference for another, if it can make the path of another little girl easier, better, more joyful, safer, I will do this thing that is so hard for me. Again and again and again. And so finally it came down to if sharing can make a difference for one heart, one life at a time, I will do it. I'm willing to be scared. I'm willing to be stretched. I'm willing to be uncomfortable and vulnerable and perfect in my imperfections if it can make a difference for one. But I really hope it doesn't involve all those other things that I shared. And the funny thing about that and about fear, no one was asking me to do any of those things. It was like the worst things I could think of ever having to do that were so scary that I could say no to that. But it was just fear. And what's so interesting to me is I do those things now every day, every week, and I love them. And I would have missed out on discovering that about myself and growing into that and becoming that and all the lives that I get to touch and they get to touch mine because of fear that I had imagined or created. And here's the thing about stepping into that someday, bringing it forward. You don't have to do it all at once. It's step by step. And every step prepares us for the next and the next. And it'll come in unexpected ways, because remember, we have to not be attached to that how. And we might even find, I think I like the spotlight. I think I love connecting with people in this way. I never knew that about myself. And then learning how to do it in a way that is more aligned with what you're wanting to achieve. There's a growth process. I'm growing all the time. And we have that opportunity. So when we're looking at thriving, when we're looking at moving forward, bringing into reality those things that matter most to us, I'm going to invite you to resist the urge to say, I could never do that. I wish I had said yes sooner. I wish I had leaned in sooner. How many of you have ever felt that way about things? Yeah. Oh, fear is an emotion. It's an emotion. And we can find ways to actually lean into the fear. One of my fears, again, was safety. Being seen and being heard and not feeling safe in that. Feeling vulnerable. It was terrifying to me. But I made deals with myself, and here's what I did. I leaned into what I was afraid of. I was afraid I wouldn't be safe. Okay. How can I make myself safe in that situation? I decided I gave myself permission to walk off stage anytime. Anytime I need to walk off, I give myself full permission. I even know the best, most efficient escape route. As graceful as possible. But every moment I choose to stay on stage, I'm choosing it. It's not I have to. I'm forced to. I'm choosing, and that's a much more powerful place to be. And every 1 minute, every 30 seconds sometimes, you choose to be there. You can show up on purpose and more powerfully. So whatever the thing is that you feel that swirling is, in us, that where we want to shrink, instead of fear being bad and leaning away, lean in and explore and see how. Instead of, we'll come up against a challenge sometimes. I don't know if has anyone ever had a challenge in their life? Okay, good. So a challenge. And what can happen sometimes is we put all this energy on it. It's so big and scary. And then we'll call our friends. Do you know, Dr. Mary, this challenge is so big. I don't know what to do. I feel scared. I feel overwhelmed. I don't know. We're giving a lot of attention to this challenge. We're nurturing it, in fact. And it can become bigger. When sometimes a challenge can be an invitation to do it another way. And we get so attached it has to be done this way, plan A, plan A, plan A. But perhaps plan C is actually ideal. There's another way to go about this. And if we can shift our focus from the challenge and making it this big monster to, maybe I can do this another way. What's an easier way? What's a simpler way? Let's regroup and reevaluate and see perhaps where I want to go now that I know this. And that can go, I think we should have toolkits for challenges. Like we have in California, we have emergency kits for earthquakes, right? We know what to do, where to go. We've rehearsed and we practice for when that earthquake happens. It's not if, we expect an earthquake to happen at some point, and we know what to do and we know where our things are. What if we had that same approach in our life? Like we know a storm's gonna come. There will be a storm. There will be a challenge. Now that we know that, what are we going to put into our toolkit, our emergency kit, to help us? So perhaps it's this regrouping, taking a breath, and maybe focusing a little more on, what are some alternatives versus so much on what isn't, or how big the challenge is. One of the things I have found really helps me is stopping and pausing before reacting. Because when we're stressed and we're tired and stretched a little bit thin and that one more thing happens, we don't always show up in a thriving, vibrant way. And then there might be cleanup work after that we have to deal with, the aftermath. But if we could remember to stop, pause, breathe, and I can give you a 3-step process, and it takes a very short amount of time. So 1, remembering to stop, pause, and as you breathe in, ask yourself this question. Am I being, and use your name, I'll say Rebecca, because it gets my attention a little bit more. Are you being who you want to be right now? Generally at that moment, the question is no. The answer is no. No. Okay. Let's clean that. Who do you want to be? How do you want to be? Identify that. And then I say, choose that. Be that with your next breath. Takes less than a minute. And suddenly, by stop, pausing, and breathing, that deep breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, like making your belly big that we talked about earlier, actually lowers your cortisol levels, brings you more present, brings oxygen throughout your body, which means we can think a little bit more clearly without things hijacking us and running us. We can stop and choose who we want to be. We can make different choices. Okay, this has happened now that I know this. What do I do with the rest of the day? How am I going to be in this? Who do I choose to be? Plan A is off the list. It can change your whole perspective. But if we forget to stop, the day can hijack us and we can not be the vibrant, thriving individual that we want to be. So I would look at what's in your toolkit. What can you put? I love emergency having, not that I love emergencies, let me correct that. I'm so, good. I have essential oils. And that's something I find really centers me, really supports me and what I do. Sometimes I will have things that make me smile, that uplift my spirit. Think about the things that are going to help support you on your journey when those storms come, when those emergencies come. Now, I do have a chart that we've handed out, the flower chart, we're handing it out now. So even though this looks like the other flower chart from this morning, whoosh, it's a new one. But there is a consistent thing with it. What goes in the center? Exactly, you go in the center. Oh, as we're looking at thriving, we talked about what is it you wanted to bring forward in 2018. We went back in time to January, we brought it to the present, now we're kind of going forward. I want you to think about what is it that you're wanting to bring forward. What do you want it to look like, feel like? And I'm going to invite you to stretch with this. Not something just logical and practical that you can see all the steps and you know can make happen. Let's stretch it a little bit. Les Brown says, it's not that we aim too high and miss, it's that we aim too low and hit. Let's aim high. And maybe it takes 2 years, that's okay. Let's aim high, let's really go after what we are called to bring forward, what is growing in us, what is birthing within us. Let's honor that. Let's bring that forth. Let's be willing to become what we need to become, to be what we need to be, to go where we're called to go. Step by step. But let's identify where that is, what we're bringing forth. Then we need to look at where we're at. No criticism, no judgment. It's awareness, because if we don't know where we're at and we're trying to go where we don't know where we're wanting to go, it's kind of hard to get there. But if we have it clear where we're at, where we want to go, then we can have a map to get there, step by step. And remember, I haven't said anything about how or what the steps are. Right now, it's what, where are we at? Then we can start to explore the how. But let's make sure we have the destination in mind and we know where we're at. Then we can start to identify the steps, the support. And what I want you to understand around this, this isn't really the how. It's identifying as many of the pieces as you know that you'll need on that journey. So for instance, I'm thinking about the book. If I'm going to be bringing a book forward, I need to know what the book's about, so I can put that on my list. I need to identify what the book's about. I need to identify what I'm wanting to do with the book. Who is it supposed to serve? So I need to get some clarity around that. Somehow, I've got to figure out how to structure the book. What are the pieces in the book? Because as long as we keep it nebulous and vague, it's hard to break it down. When I work with authors, we go through this process. And there's actually a very, I don't know if they always know, structured formula to it. Every chapter is this length, it's between this many words and this many words. You cover this many points in it per chapter, and this many words per point. If you start to go above that, we need another chapter. which gives them really great clarity because now they know this point's 300 to 500 words. Chunk. So that clarity helps them step by step move it forward. So identify the pieces that you know. If you don't know all of the steps, that's a great time to tap into someone who's an expert in that arena because you don't have to do it alone. And then you can start to organize the order of the steps. And you might notice, I'm teleporting from here to here. I don't know how to get from here to here. That's a point to lean in and get a little bit of help, creativity. And have fun. We get really serious in this stage and make it really hard and heavy. And maybe we could get creative and fun. I could do this. I could do it this way. I could wear my tiara when I do it this way. Like, we can make it fun. What are the ways that we can do it and enjoy the steps and the journey? Bring some of our creativity and our magic into it. Sometimes and I had this thing in my head about books. I used to think the only way to write a book was to sit down like this or stare at the screen. And somehow when I had a piece of paper in my hand, I could write lists, checklists, and business plans. I was really good at that, but it wasn't compelling. It didn't capture my heart. I wasn't able to tap into that part of myself in the written form, so I got very frustrated, and that's why I don't do books. But then I discovered there's more than one way to do things. Who knew? That I'm better at speaking my story, speaking my message, so I could actually record that information, get it transcribed, and then I could fine-tune it for the written word, which suddenly became easier and more fun, playing to my strengths versus where I had a block. So get creative around this, get support, get helps. And then, this is important. I don't want anyone to miss this. So we got the steps. We know where we want to go. We know where we're at. Sometimes we at least know the general direction, the first couple steps. We have to take the steps. I talk to people, and we stay in touch over time, and they're still thinking about it. Someday they're still going to do this, and it's been someday for 5 years, and they're not a step closer. Because they're still thinking about it, they're still planning on it, they're still perfecting it, but they're so scared, or they're just not able or know how to take a step closer, so it just keeps being that same amount of distance away. We've got to take action. And then we talked about this a little bit earlier, Deb, with your share. Celebrate. Celebrate the discovery. Celebrate the journey. Celebrate you learned another way to not do that. Celebrate, I like that. Let's do that again. Let's do more of that. Unless of what isn't serving. When I work with hosts, we talk about that, and they resist me. And I resisted too when my producer told me to do this. Listen to your show. It's much more fun just to create it. It's painful and kind of hard because we can be so critical to listen to it or to watch it, but boy, you learn a lot. And you have to watch it and listen to it as a viewer, as someone in the audience, not as the producer of it. And you find, what did I like about that? What was compelling? What did I want more of as I was experiencing this? And frequently it'll be not the things the producer thought would be appealing to you. And then you do more of that, less of the other. And you just get to keep doing more. Same thing on our journey. So we celebrate. Celebrate you did it. Celebrate you got the steps. Celebrate all along the way. That will encourage you and keep you going. And when those storms come, not if, you have some actions that you can take to navigate through the storm. Because storms will come. This represents storms, winds of change, things unexpected. Your roots are really remembering your why. So when you stop, pause, step back for a moment, reevaluate, remember your why, your purpose. That will help you know what to say yes and no to, so you can keep moving forward. And then you got to watch out for parasites. So I've been gardening, I'm year 2 now. First year, I learned a lot. I took a whole container of cucumber seeds, 50 of them, dumped them in a pot, I put soil over it. Has anyone ever grown cucumbers? Yeah, they're big. Those vines grow really high. So I learned all these things about planning for growth, transplanting, making sure there's room, and then having support to grow. Like, I learned a lot. So this year, as I'm planting, I'm doing 6 of each thing because I want more than 1 million cucumbers. That became all I could manage. And more. We actually had cucumber adoptions going on there with the plants and the vines for a while. So I've been thinking about that as I'm planting my garden. What is it that I want? What kind of space do I need? We fill our plates so full, there's no room for growth. And then we get overwhelmed when it comes. But if we're planting the seed, we're nourishing it, I feel like we should expect the growth and create room and space for it. Allow room in the garden. But make sure you don't have things growing there that you didn't plant that are taking away nutrients and things that are not serving you. Sometimes we have our own parasites going on. We have our own weeds that we've planted ourselves unknowingly that need to be removed and released so that we have energy, we have space, we have room for growth. The thing with parasites and seedlings, we often want to invest in things that we want to grow and expand. How many of you want to lift others up in some way or some capacity? That we want to do that in our life, that matters to us, that the legacy we want to create with our life makes a difference. So we're investing in others. And that can be our little seedlings. And seedlings are fragile at first. You got to protect them, let them grow stronger before sometimes they can be in the whole big pot when you're planting. But seedlings are not parasites. Parasites are not seedlings, but they feel the same. They're taking nutrients, they're taking energy. It can be relationships, it can be habits, it can be different things that we're doing. What I want to encourage you is make sure your seedlings have roots. And they will actually grow and become self-sustaining. Parasites do not. They will never have roots. They survive off of others, and so much they will destroy the organism they're living off of. You cannot afford to have parasites in your life. Guard your vision, guard where you're going. That's key to thriving. Send yourself love along the way. As you're celebrating, encourage yourself and find out the support that you need and take a step in that direction. One thing about support I hear a lot as I'm working with different entrepreneurs and individuals, they say, but I don't have a team and I need a team, but I don't have a team, but I need a team, and I can't afford to have a team, but I need a team. Has anyone ever heard anyone ever say that? And so I will talk with them. I said, well, what do you need on your team? Well, I don't know. I just need help. I said, okay. So let's identify what you need. Let's break it down. Let's get clear. What's a step we can take in that direction? When I first started, I didn't have a team. I set aside $100. I'm like, okay, I can get $100 of help. Where do I need the most help? And I got that help. Then I got another $100 together, and I got another $100 worth of help. And then eventually I could do it on a regular basis. And then it could be $300, and then it could be this and that. But I made sure wherever I put that was the greatest need that could help me stand more in my genius step by step. It's not all or nothing. Step by step by step. And then you can grow your team over time. Does that make sense? And there's all kinds of creative ways to bring in teams as well and support. So I encourage you to get out of the cycle, I need this vague thing called a team, I need more, and get clear on exactly what that is, and then you can start to build steps to get there. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So one of the other things I've been hearing a lot from people on different things they're wanting to launch. Maybe they're wanting to launch a television show, or they're wanting to launch, they want to bring their book forward, they want to publish it, they want to do that. They want to have an event, have a parade that they're representing something and doing that around the world. They want it to become a march and a movement. Big visions. Big visions take funds frequently and take support. So then we break it down and we get clear what it is that you need. It's the same process. What? I promise. And getting clear, what is that number? What are the pieces that go into that number? I'm going to encourage you to really think about what it is that you are called to bring forth and find the ways to do that. Break it into steps. Get clear on where you're wanting to go. Get clear on where you're at so you can plan the steps to get there. Because those seeds that have been planted are not by accident, they're on purpose. It's actually calling forth. You're being called to birth, to bring forward those things that are being pulled from you to come into reality. So I want to invite you to seriously bring them forward. Make the commitment to bring them forward. Find the support you need, the people that can walk beside you. If learning this skill set, developing this skill set around sponsors can help, I'd love to be part of that journey. But this journey is bigger than any one offer. It's bigger than any one piece. It's this commitment to be willing to thrive, to be willing to bring forward your calling no matter what. So the question is, are you willing?
Are you a speaker looking to reach more people with your message? You have a global vision that you want to touch the world and make a global difference. If so, I have an amazing opportunity for you. It's called the Speaker Talent Search. Again, that's the speakertalentsearch.com. You'll find all the details, but here are the highlights. With one application process, you get clarity on your message. You get to fine-tune how you want to reach the world. Then you'll have everything ready in one place for the opportunities when they come. Second, we select you as a finalist. You get to come in and audition with a 7-minute audition, open up the door to hundreds of speaking opportunities. I hope you lean in. I hope you say yes. We would love to hear your message. Help you touch the world powerfully. Again, that's the speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your powerful message.